Good morning, guys. We are live here at the Wake Up Call. Your girl Jasmine Kennard, my sister, twin, Brandy Galloway. How you feeling this morning?
Doing good, as you know.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a while since we've sat and kind of talked. It's been a lot going on, and we want to bring to you some things that have manifested and have happened over the past couple of weeks that we think will really serve great purpose for all of you. So, yeah. Brandy, we have some good things that we want to share with these beautiful souls.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a longer episode than the rest of them. Mm-hmm. I can say that.
Yeah.
Because there's much to discuss. One thing, as you know, something you went through too, something I went through last year and now going through again, divorce. And we had got back together, as everybody that knows and been following me, they know that we got back together. We tried to work it out. But the thing is, we were stuck in a cycle of bad behavior towards each other. Things that we would do to cause resentment, anger, jealousy, things like that. Not knowing that we were doing those things and not understanding why it was causing us to feel the way we were feeling.
Yeah.
And now we understand that the reason that all these things are happening is because we are not destined to be together. There is a sole purpose that drives a future pull that is pulling us apart, whether we want it to or not. There's nothing we can do about it. The universe is going to create what it wants to create based on what your purpose is.
Right.
And what you create as well.
Right.
So that is what is happening right now. And we both realized that, and we actually figured out how to break the cycle. Breaking the cycle just a few weeks ago to us was even hard to fathom how to do.
Yeah.
Because we were still stuck in flesh, still stuck in the want of each other, the flesh need of each other.
Yeah.
Not the assurance of self.
Right.
That knew better. Spirit knew that was what needed to happen. We've both been feeling it for a while. But then what we figured out was that we just had to release each other.
Mm.
We had to literally let go and say, you know what, I love you, you're my best friend, but this is as far as we can go together, because every relationship you ever have, and I'm not meaning just in a marriage or partnership, I'm meaning any relationship, has its limits.
Absolutely.
Has its time stamp.
Yeah.
It only goes to, you can only go so far. And the thing is, when you're in a relationship like we were in, it was a karmic relationship. We were just in these cycles and throwing things at each other verbally, you know what I'm saying? Like all these battles we had back and forth for years.
Right.
And then we finally realized, well, we have to realize that this is something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
That is causing all this to happen, to wake us up to what is truly supposed to happen. So that's what we did. We peacefully split on that. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry.
No problem. So you were saying that you peacefully split on that.
Yes. And they're going to hear the kids screaming in the background. But yes, we peacefully... It's inside. Oh, they're good. Everybody gonna have to get used to it, because now he's leaving and I ain't gonna have nobody to hold the kids off while we're recording the show.
It's all good.
So, yeah, we got to that point, and just a few days ago, it was even hard for us to imagine how to split, because when you're in a relationship and you think about splitting, then you start thinking about all the negative things.
Right.
All the things you're not going to have once the split happens, rather than thinking about all the blessings you're going to have by going through what it is that
you need to go through.
Yeah, you have to go through these things, or you're not going to get to where you're like.
Right.
One thing that we said was, when it happened, when we finally really released each other, we felt relief over our entire body. Both of us.
Right.
You can't deny those feelings.
Absolutely.
When it's that profound and that strong that you actually are alerted and aware of it.
Absolutely.
You can't fight that.
Absolutely.
You can't deny that. You cannot deny the purpose path when it feels so good and so right, and it is so powerful and pulling you into it.
Right. Nor can you ignore going backwards and having that resistance, knowing that it's done, it's over, and you need to move forward. And I experienced the exact same thing. And, you know, that was the thing that brought us together, because our situations mirrored one another. And it's so crazy because
you are my inner Jasmine and I'm your inner Brandy.
Yes, we are. I say this all the time to everybody that I try and explain our relationship to. We are the same spirit, just in two separate vessels.
But when you look at that, every person you ever have in your life, including your children and your parents, is the same.
Absolutely.
But it just, some ways people connect like we are, where vibration is high, and then others, when you connect with somebody on a, where it's resentment or any kind of bad emotion that you have towards somebody, that's because you're lowering yourself to the vibration that they keep pulling you into. And then you stay on that vibration while you're around them, and then you get sucked more and more into that, and then you start creating that vibration. So you have to, that's what you were talking about in your status, you have to break yourself from that atmosphere. Because like I was talking to a friend yesterday, the law of association works in so many ways. Who you are around affects everything of your being, your essence. Because if it's negative or anything, or positive, it doesn't matter which side of the spectrum it's on. It engulfs who you are. It engulfs you. And it causes, like when you got here, you said that you felt a difference in the vibration, in the energy. From what you were in
Texas,
and then after getting here, and me and my husband going through what we went through, the vibration levels went down, and what happened, we all started experiencing these lower vibrations and emotions in 3D physical world, flesh driven thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. And then what happened? The split happened, the release happened, and what did the energy do in the house?
Hiked straight back up. Straight back up.
And that is how you know that what you're doing is right. That even if it doesn't feel right in the flesh, doesn't mean that it's not right. If it feels right inside, and it makes you happy, elated, excited to wake up. See, that's the thing. To know you're on the purpose path is to wake up excited every morning, wondering what's going to happen to you next. What does God have in store for you that day that's going to awaken you a little bit more, to understand a little bit more, to help you get through a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So, that was awesome. You know, when I was talking, I need to talk about last night, because that was one thing that the guys that showed up last night at the house said, because I was telling them, I was like, you know, when I speak from my spirit, I learn as it's coming out of me. Like that's how I know it's not me. Like it is me, but it's my inner me. Because it's teaching me as it's teaching others. And he was like, it's funny you say that, because our pastor says that the only way he recognizes when his spirit is coming out is when he learns from it. And then the things that I was on the phone with him, and he was saying, you're so right. This chapter in this book has this in it. And I've never read these chapters out of a Bible or anything, and he gave me the Book of Mormon, and it's more, it took the things out of the Bible, from what I've seen so far, that are more about your spirituality, your mind, self-love, love for the world, those kinds of things. So
I never knew that.
So I'm like, oh my God, this little thing is like a gem. Like, because I used to not understand things when I read it, like what the way that the King James Bible was wrote, even though it's the most accurate as far as Bibles go, all these things I never understood them as I was reading them, and my mind would drift off to other places, back into worry of 3D physical things that I didn't need to worry about. And as I was reading this book, and after all that I've went through since last time I picked up a Bible or anything and tried to read it, and all the understanding I've gained, as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is the stuff I've been telling everybody. What? Wait, what? like that is your assurance. That is your indicator that the truth is already in you. That even if you don't pick this up, you can still find the truth.
It.
This just gives you that validation of
confirmation. And it comes in so many different forms. Confirmation comes in so many different forms. They say what's in dark always comes to light. So that means if it's hidden, if you can't find it, if you don't know the answer, if you seek source, that answer will shine bright, and you will be able to just magnify everything that you thought you knew into something so much greater. And it's just an evolving,
it's a ripple effect in either direction. There is no I'm only gonna stay on this side of it. You can make that choice, but you don't automatically.
You want to drive forward or you want to be in reverse.
Yeah.
And in reverse is scary. You don't know what's behind.
Is fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Not wanting to follow that source.
Yeah.
That intuition, them impulse feelings
comfort zone.
You know, the spontaneity of people.
Right.
That's source right there. That is the most powerful thing of source.
Yes.
It draws you so fiercely. They call it spontaneity.
Yeah.
That source just going, get over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. And so when you have those spontaneous things that you want to do just all of a sudden in the moment, always do them, because you're going to find something, a gem, a nugget that you were supposed to uncover to help you understand things that you already know even better.
Yeah.
Like last night, the guys that knocked on the door, they said that they were sitting at dinner, and he said, I just had this impulse, this gut feeling to get up, and my inner being was telling me that I had to meet somebody.
Yeah.
He said, I turned on the GPS and your road was just sitting there on the GPS.
Wow.
And he goes, so this is where we came. He said, I didn't know who I was going to meet, but I knew that I was supposed to meet
somebody. Yeah.
And when he, like I told you, when he comes to the door, and it went from them coming to talk to me about the love of God to me sitting them down and telling them the interpretations of what it is they're really reading.
Yeah, I watched it, and it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Robert, he was sitting out here looking through the...
Yeah, I was out here too.
Yeah. Looking, yeah. And that's what he's saying. He was like, they were just mesmerized. I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
He's like, they came here to talk to you, and then you're sitting there telling them how it really is.
Yeah.
And see, what was so amazing about it was because we connected on so many levels, and they were like, they were just blown away at what they were hearing, because it affirmed so much within them.
Right.
In that moment.
Right.
And they gave me this book that we were just talking about, and he said, before he left, he said, would you like me to mark a place in this book for you to start reading? And I said, actually, no. I was like, I'm source-led. Even when I go watch a video for personal development, I'm going to type in one word, and then whatever jumps out at me is what I'm going to look at. That's my indicator. That's what you need to hear right now.
Right.
So that's what I told him. I'm just going to flip through the pages, and wherever it lands, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Well, at that moment, I flipped through the pages, and then I closed the book. And then he hands me a card with his number on it, and I flip the pages again, open up the book without even realizing what I was doing at the time, unconsciously. That's how source works. They get you doing things you don't even realize you're doing.
Right.
And so I open up the book, and I just set it in there like that. And I go and close it, and I just hold on to it. And I didn't even realize what I did. I just knew that I was holding the card so I wouldn't lose the card. That's all I thought I was doing.
Right.
And then later on, I walked past it a few times, and every time it just kept drawing me further and further into it. And I finally gave in and picked it up. And I went and I flipped it open a little bit, like to right there. And I was like, I didn't feel sure about this being the point that I was supposed to read. And I started reading, and nothing engulfed me with feelings. Nothing with unveilings.
Right.
So I knew that was not what I was supposed to read. So I kept flipping, and then all of a sudden there's that card, and I was like, maybe this was what, maybe this is what I was supposed to read.
Yeah.
And this is what I came across. And I'm going to read it and interpret it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on one second. All right. Chapter 41. This is talking about the resurrection. In the resurrection, men come forth to a state of endless happiness or endless misery. What is meant by that is the resurrection is not the end of earth, the bringing back of Christ and then earth dying.
Right.
Because the meaning of Christ is not the resurrection of Jesus. That is not it. The Christ is the Christ mind, the divine mind you think from.
Absolutely.
That is where everything comes from.
Right.
So when it's
the sun,
resurrection, when it's the resurrection of Christ, it is the resurrection of your awakening, the resurrection of mankind, the light, earth, the rebirth, all of that. That is the resurrection that they're speaking of.
When the sun comes up again. Because time is infinity. It never changes. Like you said, it's not going to end. It's a cycle within ourselves. Yeah.
And the next sentence says, wickedness never was happiness. And what's meant by that is that people, for so long, by what has led us and drove us, have believed that the flesh-driven happiness is what happiness is.
Right.
And they have nothing to compare it to. They don't have that true spirit happiness. All they have is flesh happiness that gives them struggle, so they have struggle to compare to struggle, not happiness to struggle.
Right.
So they're telling you wickedness never was happiness because your flesh actions are wicked in their ways because they poison your life and your reality.
Right. Wow, that's powerful.
So, after that, carnal men are without God in the world. Meaning, if you love the world and everything it gives you, instead of finding yourself, which is God, then you are more in tune with the world and less in tune with God. And you can't find God inside a man or woman that is only
of the world.
Lusting of the world and what it gives them.
Right.
Okay. Every person receives again in restoration the characteristics and attributes acquired in morality, meaning how you act, speak, think towards the world, you are going to get back.
Right.
These verses speak of the energy of universe, of law of attraction.
That's exactly what my post was today. That's crazy.
Yeah, it all speaks of that and how you are a reflection.
Right.
How everything is mirrored back to you, and what you send out, you get back.
Right.
And it's crazy because before you know how the universe works, you don't understand what that speaks to you.
You say F love, F, people aren't loyal. This is exactly what I talked about today. And it's not love. It's not the loyalty. It's you.
Yeah.
It's how you're treating it. It's the expectations that you're putting on it. It's the settling for something that's less than what you know that you are, which is infinite. So infinite love, infinite loyalty, infinite forgiveness, and I mean, you will continue to reach those higher barriers than your flesh can master.
Yeah.
Mastering yourself.
Yeah. And basically all that means, what I just read, was that you're going to get back what you put out.
Right.
In tenfold.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be in reality. And reality is illusion to what really is. But it's something that you feel, touch, smell, taste, all those things.
Yes.
So it feels more real.
Right.
So you're more confused by it. It's like waking up from a dream that you had that was so vivid you can't tell if it was real or a dream. That's what life is.
That's why people can't.
In a dream.
Right.
You're in a dream state because you know what? Everything was created from a thought.
Right.
God had a thought. It all is mind.
Right.
Everything in mind became matter, and that is what we are now.
Right. Absolutely. Shout out to higher consciousness, man.
And okay, I'm gonna keep reading this one.
Yes,
it says, "And now, my son, I have somewhat to say concerning the restoration of which has been spoken. For behold, some have wrested the scriptures," meaning laid the word of God down from their heart, not just laying down the Bible, from their heart, from their understanding, turning away from God and what He is speaking to you.
Right.
Because everybody knows that you get those feelings. You're like, I just don't know what it is. Something. Everybody, like I told you yesterday, I'm like, I keep saying something, like I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Something is God.
Right.
And that's in you.
Right.
And those are the feelings you get. That's how He guides you.
Right.
Which is how you guide you, considering you are God, so you are creator.
Which
you are divine mind.
You are in control.
One. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what He wants everyone to realize, is that He put us all here to be Christ.
Right.
We are all
Christ.
Exactly. Okay. I have somewhat, wrested the scriptures and have gone far astray because of this thing. And the way that I'm seeing this thing is the fear of the resurrection, the fear of Judgment Day, and the fear of not living up to the standards of the words interpreted by the 3D physical flesh rather than the spirit that knows that there's nothing bad or fearful to have.
Absolutely. That is how people die, not ever knowing their purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The illusion.
Yeah.
The great illusion. Okay. And I perceive that thy mind has been worried and also concerning this thing. But behold, I will explain it unto you. I say unto you, my son, that the plan of restoration is requisite with the justice of God. The plan of restoration is where restoring the earth back to what it was created to be.
Absolutely.
We have
in health, in every aspect.
Yeah. You know, like I was talking to the guys on the phone a minute ago, we are creating heaven and hell right here where we stand. It's not a place we ascend to. We ascend to come back.
Yes.
We ascend back to our natural state of energy and all of that, but it's not something that we leave this earth to find.
Right.
We're not leaving here to go to heaven or hell. We're creating
You create it right here where you
God
are. Right.
Creating your heaven and
absolutely.
Your hell.
That's how, it's very powerful when you understand and realize that if you continue to create positivity, uplift others, and attracting all things that you want that is of goodness, of genuine and compassion, all things that are good, then you will attract those things into your life. And the status that I posted on my Facebook wall today, it talked about that, because each and every one of us as kids, no one could tell us that we couldn't, that we weren't good enough, etc. We thought we could do and be anything that we wanted to be, you know. And it's a process or time and period in our life where that starts to dwindle down and negativity starts to be spewed into the child's mind to say that you're not good enough, you can't be, and just so many psychological things that we hold on to, that I held on to, and it made me operate out of fear, out of anger, out of resentment, all the things that contribute to not finding the God in you and living your life through your flesh. And I lived that way, and even though I knew my heart was good, and I would always say, but God, you know my heart, but my actions was still of fear, still of the things that hurt me. So I'm screaming, I want loyalty, I want, you know, goodness and love and all these things, but at the same time, even though I may be giving those things, I'm still holding on to things that's not serving me. So, and everybody has their different level of what, you know, the extension of the things that they will do and go to. So then it became a thing for me where I have to look at myself. If my bad outweighs my good, then that means I can't be as good as I think that I am. So I have to start eliminating the bad. And the more bad that I eliminate, the more goodness that I find that continues to build me up and let go of the things that never served me, which is the bad or the negativity. Mm-hmm. No matter who it's from, no matter how long you're holding on to it, and the longer you hold on to it, the longer the cycle will repeat, because you're not over it. You haven't forgiven it. It's not out of love. It's not
stand in between two open doors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pick a side. Yeah. So you're going to be completely fearful and negative and harboring all those feelings, or you're going to say, you know what? I am flawed just the same. You know, Kellen Marcus, shout out to you. This man, when he came into my life, there were so many things that he taught me about myself that I really, you know, that I never looked at. That another person I probably would have snapped at, got defensive, etc. But for some reason, when God sent the message through him to me, it affirmed certain things that I knew that I still needed to grow and do and mature and let go and, you know, all those things. And he told me, dealing with a personal situation with one of my family members and me feeling like everything that comes out of this person's mouth is negative. Everything that is spewed towards me is negative. And I couldn't understand it. And I was just like, you know, but I'm always the one forgiving. I'm always the one continuing to try. And I feel like, what about me? You know, why do I always have to sacrifice myself for people who don't reciprocate what I need? And he told me, you know, what if God did you the same way? What if God placed over your life, okay, well, you've messed up 10 times.
Yeah, contradictions.
Absolutely.
Or stipulations
you've messed up so many times, so I'm done. That's it. Your life is over. Mm-hmm. Or I'm taking, you know, and that's the reality that we don't address, is that when we label and judge and put stipulations on people and hold on to things that they've done to us, it's only hurting ourselves. And we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't go through the same process that we're not giving the other person the benefit of the doubt in that time to do, because everybody's timing through their process is different. And so once I came to that realization and he told me that, it made so much sense. Like, I can't give up on this person just because they haven't reached their awakening when I did or how I did. That continue to love them, continue to forgive them, and love them through that process. Now, that doesn't mean being joined at the hip with that person. That doesn't mean that they're in your business, all details of your life. But no resentment, no anger, no animosity, nothing that is not serving your greater purpose. Releasing it all back and gaining everything of higher ground.
That is the beautiful thing about this chapter, because it speaks on so many levels of the restoration of everything, including those things you're battling with right now.
Right.
He says, when he says, I say unto thee, my son, that the plan of restoration is the requisite and justice of God. I told you the restoration is bringing everything back to the proper order, which is stated after that. For it is the requisite that all things should be restored to their proper order. The proper order is the energies, the shift in the chain of, not chain of command, but the shift in the power, from going from darkness to light, from good getting good, from good getting bad to now good getting good, and bad getting good to now bad getting bad. Behold, it is the requisite and just, according to the power and the resurrection of Christ. Meaning, through this, all of this that is happening, the shift and everything, it takes place because of the resurrection of Christ, which is the divine mind, which is you. It's you awakening and unveiling these things. So that is how the resurrection...
Starting a new day, new experience.
Yes, that is how the resurrection is going to take place, because all of these people are awakening to that Christ mind and connecting and tapping into that tree of life.
The God in you, the God is in you.
Yeah, they're tapping into that together, which making it much more powerful than the negative, because love trumps all.
Right.
Okay, that the soul of, it says, the resurrection of Christ, that the soul of man should be restored to its body, and that every part of the body should be restored to itself. Meaning that everything that you have been struggling with, everything that you've ever had to fear, worry, doubt, all of these things are going to be restored, and you will for once in your life have the ability to see a higher perspective of it, and then have that option to go that route. That is the red and blue pill. That is the trumpets that are sounding. That is when that moment comes. It's when you hear those trumpets. It's not you taking off and lifting off up into the sky. It's you having that choice of having that upper hand and that upper look down on things. That's what it is. Okay, and it is the requisite with the justice of God that men should be judged according to their works. And if their works were good in this life, and the desires of their hearts were good, that they should also at the last day be restored unto that which is good. So that is saying that you do good, you get good. As I've said many, many times.
Absolutely.
And if their works are evil, they shall be restored unto them for evil. You do bad, you get bad. That's what that's saying. Therefore, all things shall be restored to their proper order. Again, good get good, bad get bad. Everything to its natural frame, what it was created to be to begin with. Before it got tilted, off balance. Morality raised to immorality. Corruption to incorruption. Raised to endless happiness to inherit the kingdom of God. Meaning your vibration. Everything raises to the tune of the vibration you're supposed to be on. So if you give out a bad vibration, something of corruption, things like that, right now you're getting that back. You're gonna get what is eye for an eye time. That's what it is.
In all type of forms, even in health.
Yes. Yes, that's what it does. Or to endless misery to inherit the kingdom of the devil. And the kingdom of the devil is the self-prism that everybody holds their self in the 3D physical flesh form. You're creating the struggle you're in, and you're always saying you're going through hell right now. Well,
and you just spoke it once again, and I was just thinking that today, because I was on Instagram, and people use that the terminology "I died" or "I'm dead." Like even in that, even if you're meaning it in a funny way, however you can fathom that, but you're still speaking it, you're still putting it out there regardless. I once thought that too, and then I was awakened to looking at it from a different light, because a friend of mine, he calls his spirit, this source, the fuckers. That's what he calls them. And he's like them fuckers got a funny sense of humor, and they like when I call them fuckers, so that's what I call them. And it hit home with the fact that we are allowed, this is what God wants, is us to accept ourselves. And so why put stipulations on how we say things? Like as long as the vibration is in a line, then it's not so much that makes
the word.
Sense.
Because the feeling is what activates it.
Gotcha.
Not the word itself. That's why you can't say, go think about this and you'll get it. Well, you're not feeling it, you're not smelling it and touching it from a third eye essence. So therefore it's not going to create.
I mean, and
it does that in bad too, because you feel more in bad situations. You're feeling that because that's pain. So that's creating more of it. Okay.
That makes so much sense. That makes sense.
Okay. The one on one hand and the other on the other. The one raised to happiness according to his desires of happiness, or good according to his desires of good, and the other evil according to his desires of evil. For as he has desired to do evil all day long, even so shall he have his reward of evil when the night comes. Meaning, you are doing evil. That is what's pulling you those ways, those types of ways, thinking, acting, all of that stuff.
Right.
So you're going to get more of that coming back into your life. Right. And sometimes you can think you're good and not be.
Right, exactly.
And do something evil.
Absolutely.
Because anything that is not of love, kindness, and compassion is evil.
Right.
In all forms.
Yeah.
So when people are getting this evil in their life, these wicked ways coming back at them, these struggles, it's because they have not been kind and compassionate, understanding, and
absolutely to other people,
to the world,
right,
even to nature.
I was just about to say that.
Okay. According to blah, blah, blah. And so it is on the other hand, if he hath repented of his sins and desired righteousness until the end of his days, even so shall he be rewarded unto righteousness. And repenting of sins is not you shaming yourself,
right,
and saying that,
right.
It's acknowledging that what you did was not of the divine mind, was not of God, was not of source,
and loving yourself in spite of that.
Loving it away. Mm-hmm. That's repenting, and from that point forward, doing it differently.
Absolutely.
Having that consciousness, knowing, because we all have consciousness. Consciousness is everything.
Right.
Everything is consciousness.
Right.
So when you have that consciousness, you can have that acknowledgement of what you've done.
The difference between knowing it,
and knowing and
wisdom.
Unknowing. Yeah.
Right.
It's like either when you do these things and you don't know the knowledge that you need to know from it, you don't understand why you did it.
So you'll keep doing
it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I tell people that all the time. If you don't understand, don't apologize to someone when you've wronged someone, or when they tell you that you've wronged me. Don't apologize just to save face. Don't apologize just to say I'm sorry. Understand what you're apologizing for. If you don't understand, that's okay. But don't apologize
if you don't understand,
because then the behavior is not gonna change. You're gonna keep doing it.
It's just words.
Right.
All you're doing is just giving words that make man feel that they should
trust you, or
no, make you feel better about what you did.
Right.
So these are they that are redeemed of the Lord. Yeah, these are they that are taken out, that are delivered from that endless night of darkness, and thus they stand or fall. For behold, they are their own judges, whether they do good or do evil. There is no judgment day. We are the judges of ourselves because we are God. So we don't have to be fearful of the day that we die and then be judged. We should be, the judgment is what happens to you in your life, the reality that you get based off of what you do. So your self-judgment is to acknowledge what I just said, acknowledge what it is you're doing, and take responsibility for it, and consciously do good or bad. Consciously do purpose path or flesh path.
Right.
That is the judgment.
Right.
You are your own judgers, meaning you have the choice to do the right or the wrong thing, the good or the bad thing.
Right.
It's not you going one day and dying and then getting judged for everything you ever did.
Because
you have that choice to judge yourself now and fix those things.
Right. Come back and try it again.
Yeah, and it's not judging yourself in a bad way. It's critiquing yourself.
Right.
That's the difference. Right. So everybody's fearful of this God that's going to judge them and smite them one day. And what I want to say to that is, don't be fearful of a God that loves you and is there to serve you with everything in his being, because there is no fear in anything that is of God. So if God loves you so much and doesn't want you fearing and doesn't want you doing these things, why in the world would he come and judge you and then cast you off to a place that does not exist other than in your physical form?
Right. That is powerful. Other than in your physical form. That is powerful, because that is, and in the physical form, it's the root chakra. It's our lower self. It's the things that we lust after, like you said earlier, and things that control us. Shoot, even in our sight, and I think that's why it's so important to not be so caught up in TV and media and just the things. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some great shows, great entertainment things out there, but a lot of that is to depict this false reality that Brandy was talking about, and it's only going to keep you there blind. Because you look at it and your eyes, all you're seeing is what feels good or looks good to the flesh.
I have a story about this that will make people understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that is, there are these there's 5 monkeys, apes if you want to call it, and they're put into a pen together, and there's a ladder in the pen. And every time one of the apes tries to climb up the ladder, the rest of the apes jump on him and just start beating him, because one day their master did it.
Right.
And then they replaced one of the apes and brought another one in, and it tried to climb the ladder, and all the other apes started beating it.
Right.
And then it finally learned not to climb the ladder. Well, then they replaced that one and brought in another one, and it watched it's, you know, what happens is when they replace one, they bring out one of the other ones that had already beaten one of the apes.
Yeah.
So it's a shift in going from getting beat to seeing that that's what's supposed to happen to being the beater.
Right.
So that is what they did, and that is how they control mankind. That is how we are controlled. We are given all of these things in our mind, saying this is how it should be,
right?
And then making you become what they think, what they push in your mind is how it should be. Like, because right now, my socks are mismatched because, 1, they always get mismatched, and 2, because if I put on 2 socks that are matched just because everybody else wears 2 socks that are matched, then I'm falling into the path that the world laid
trends,
out.
And that's what trips me out about the trends that you see on social media, because that's all it is categorizing and grouping, or seeing
dividing
what people
more and more.
Exactly. And so once those trends begin to increase and they see, okay, well, this is where the numbers are, then they'll continue to feed off of those same trends, because they see that is what's working. Mm-hmm. That is what's getting the attention. That is creating the habits of the people to continue to do what they're doing, following others, following the ways of the world, instead of going against the grain. Against the grain is where it's at. Against the grain is the freedom, is the knowledge of self, the wisdom, all of what makes me feel so freaking amazing. Like, my energy right now is crazy, because I just yesterday I was just feeling out of place. I was feeling like something's not right, something is just, and it was just things that I hadn't really assessed. And the more you mask your feelings and try and ignore what's there, the harder it is for you to overcome. And once again, you'll continue to create that same cycle.
Back up, and you'll still have those feelings again.
Absolutely.
And the only way to find them and fix them is to look within.
Absolutely. So I have to sit and meditate on it. I have to sit and really just dig deep and search within self. And I found my aha moment, and it was, once again, my status today, that I hadn't truly forgiven the people who continue to hurt me and separate myself, but still love them and find that love within myself, because we are all flawed. And man, I just think it's powerful, and I really hope that the messages that we are sharing with you guys has helped improve whatever that you might be going through. We definitely would like your feedback, so I want you guys to comment on this video. I want you guys to comment on this video and just share your story, something that may have helped you, so that you can help somebody else, because that's what this process, that is what the wake up call is all about. Mm-hmm. Being real with ourselves, showing ourselves truth to the world, so that we can extend that upon every single soul out there, to heal.
And you know, the one thing I was telling the guys last night is the way to heal the world is through self-experience. Letting out all the things that you've ever done or went through.
Absolutely.
No matter how dark it is, horrible, or how much it hurt, you're letting it out, and through doing so, you're showing someone else that they can have the strength to let theirs out too.
And you're finding your peace.
And because as you're healing someone else with your experience, it's healing you at the same time.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to finish. This is just the last part of it.
Okay.
It says, and behold, I say unto you, wickedness never was happiness, which I already covered. And now, my son, all men that are in a state of nature, or I would say in a carnal state, are in the gall of bitterness and in the bonds of iniquity. They are without God in the world. and they have gone contrary to the nature of God, meaning you have lost the love and compassion that you have for the world,
right.
and you have gone away from humanity and gone into self and greed and all the things that are self-serving rather
right.
than selfless.
Right.
And that is how you're getting away from God. That's how you're getting toned out away from what God wants you to hear and do.
Right.
Therefore, they are in a state contrary to the nature of happiness.
Right.
Because God is happiness. God is good.
God is love.
Yes. So when you're doing all these things that are not of God, that's why you keep getting all these things that are not of God in
right.
your life.
Right.
And now behold, is the meaning of the word restoration, to take a thing of natural state and place it in an unnatural state.
Right.
Or to place it in a state opposite of its nature. Oh, my son, this is not the case, but the meaning of the word restoration is to bring back again evil for evil, or carnal for carnal, or devilish for devilish, good for that which is good, righteous for that which is righteous, just for that which is just, merciful for that which is merciful. What I want to say about all of this is, when you start seeing these things and doing these things to yourself, that is when you can release that to the world.
Yeah.
Because until you, when you give yourself compassion, love, understanding, forgiveness, that's when you understand what it means to give it the way God does.
Right.
And therefore you can then give it to someone else the way God would.
Right.
Until then you don't understand it and can never give it fully the way he meant for it to be given.
Man.
Therefore, my son, see that you are merciful unto your brethren. Deal justly, judge righteously, and do good continually.
Right.
And if you do all these things, then you shall receive your reward,
right.
which is your kingdom of God on earth,
right.
Kingdom of heaven on earth.
Right.
You shall have mercy restored unto you again. You shall have justice restored unto you again. You shall have righteous judgment restored unto you again, and you shall have good rewarded unto you again.
Right.
The more you do good, the more you'll be blessed.
Right.
For that which you do send out shall return to you again and be restored.
Right.
Meaning what you send out is going to come back to you restored in reality.
Right.
In your reality.
Right.
Therefore the word restoration more fully condemneth the sinner the sinner, and justifieth him not at all.
Right.
Meaning you cannot justify anything that you do in flesh, but you can justify the things you do good out of spirit.
Yeah.
You cannot deny the truth that is within you, because it resonates within people when they hear it.
Right.
It makes sense to them.
Right.
And all these words may not make sense all right now. Some of it may sound like gibberish still to some people.
Right.
But the more that you awaken to it, the more you are aware of it, the more you listen to these things, the more you understand them. The
Absolutely.
more you hear it, the more you understand it.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said in a couple previous shows back, I can hear the same thing 10,000 times and not understand it, and then that one time I read it 2, 3,
Absolutely.
4 years later, and it's like, oh, that's what that means.
Absolutely. And that's what my transition was. That is what my transition was into my entire awakening. My family, pretty much everybody that I know that I grew up around are Christians, are very religious, and when I let go of religion, a lot of people didn't understand. A lot of people thought, oh, well, I need to pray for you more. You need to, go back to church and this and that. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm at a more peaceful, conscious, aware, direct connection with the Most High than I've ever been,
Mm-hmm.
not holding on to any of that. And it wasn't just, I saw, because I know some people would say that I'm following another person. They say, well, everybody has their own depiction of God and who we are and what the world is, et cetera, et cetera. So by you taking someone else's belief, you're just basically following the same trend that you're saying that the Christians and other religions are following.
Not just that, but people are so consumed in what it's called rather than what it is.
Thank you. And so what it is for me is that I don't have to follow anyone else when I can go within self and find those answers within self. When I became awakened, it was because some things, like you said, made sense instantly. The things that didn't, I asked for discernment. I said, hey, I don't understand. I've seen this a couple of times. It keeps popping up, or my spirit is hinting on something, but I'm not sure what it is, what it means, or what direction I should be led in. And I would just wait on it. I would do the things that I knew I I was supposed to be doing, eliminating the negative, the bad within myself, around me, and then the answers just started to pop out of nowhere.
All the pieces fall into place so
perfectly. Yes, and I've been stressed out my whole damn life for no reason because I'm listening to my own damn self.
Yeah, that was me after I started doing drugs.
Yeah,
I went into the flesh.
Yeah,
and started doing all the worrying and all the fearing and all that. But even so, in doing that, I would always say every time my husband was worried about something, and I would be like, "Worry means no faith.
Right?
Why are you worried about it? It's all gonna work out." And every time it did.
Right.
So I knew, like, that's something that my kid, Ethan, he knows, like, if I died, that's be like, this is what Mom always said.
Yeah.
Worry means no faith.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to everybody. You cannot walk in faith with fear.
Right.
With doubt.
Yeah.
With concern. With any emotion other than elation, happiness, excitement about what steps you're taking.
Right.
Because the steps that we're taking are purpose led when we are led by the feelers.
Right.
That's the GPS.
Absolutely. Yes. And I can attest to that because that has been the story of my life since transitioning and moving from Texas to Florida, because my family, they even to this day are still not the happiest about that decision, because they were all, no offense, because I love you dearly, but leading with fear. Everything that was said was, but you don't know her, but this, but that, like creating the negative talk and then having the negative feeling.
Too. What are you going to do with this?
Right, exactly. Blah, blah, blah. Exactly.
I'm not going to concern myself with that.
Exactly, because I know that, number one, even when I had those same fears, guess what I did? Ask for discernment. I waited for the answer. I waited for
creating it. If you think about it, if you're
exactly. So I stopped thinking about it. I asked for discernment. I did what was in my control to do, and I continued to put out the positive energy and waited for it to connect me to whatever that thing is, and that was Florida. Yeah. This is my peace. This is my zen. This is the place where I'm able to consciously think about what I want, who I am, all the different endeavors that you and I are about to mass upon the world. Like, it's going to be such a phenomenal journey, because we are like spirited, we are like minded, definitely like hearted, and those type of powers together, that is the creation of world change.
Well, yeah, and the universe, like I was telling my husband, I felt like the universe, because I kept unconsciously having him as a financial backup plan if I failed.
Yeah, I can attest.
And it wasn't that I was using him, because I loved him,
attest.
But it was that if I failed, I was like, it's all right, he can pay it if I don't get it.
Absolutely.
Well, I felt like the universe took us through all the journey, all the growth that we went through the past year, brought certain people into our lives to help us grow and understand what's going on even more, and then placed me in a place unfamiliar that I have no family, I have nobody to fall back on.
Yeah. And
made me stand on my own two
feet. Yes.
Because it was part of my learning process. It was part of fulfilling my purpose.
Developing.
Until I have that independence of being able to say, I did this.
Right.
It's like I would be searching forever to have that.
Right.
That void be filled. And that right now it's an unknowing of what's about to happen.
Right.
But it is a definite knowing of me getting through it, overcoming it, and whooping its ass.
Right, because you're strengthened in an area that you weren't before, and that's what persevering through those fears and through the unknown is all about. And it's crazy because my situation was a little different. I've been supporting myself or working since I was 16, and it wasn't up until the last maybe 2-3 years of my life where Sky's father became that support system to where I absolutely did not have to work, did not have to do anything if I didn't want to, but at the same time it was a crutch, and I lost myself and because I'm such a driven and go-getter type personality, so that took away or diminished something that I am passionate about. And I think that's what's so important about relationships and marriages that last for a long time, because you respect and honor and appreciate the person for who they are individually, and then you find those things that connect you as one together, and you nurture them differently though. You still have to nurture yourself individually and then nurture you both, the union together. That is what marriage is. Not a ring, not a ceremony, not all the things that
time together. And it's like, see, with me and my husband, before I met him, I was independent. Had no problem doing things on my own, by myself, and things like that. And then we got to where we would do everything together. We even worked together 24/7. We were together, and we would say we love being together. We're best friends. We enjoy each other's company.
Right.
But as we stayed together so long, we picked up each other's habits and traits.
Yes.
And then we became one in a sense that we both lost each other, who we are, and became this one being that didn't know itself.
That makes so much sense. It's not funny at all, but that just makes so much fucking sense. It's crazy. Damn. That made sense. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, it really did, because
that must have been for you.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I've gone through. It's it definitely replays my last relationship and what I just touched on, because in losing myself, it's you mirror one another. So whether we're losing ourselves simultaneously at the same time, different times, it's still a loss of self instead of an addition. Like you're subtracting from the union or the spirit.
Yeah, you're subtracting from the essence of each being when you combine them that way and hold each other that way, to where you become one person in that way. You have to still have your individuality.
Right. And I'm finding mine back, and I'm so excited because it's a powerful
That's what
experience.
I'm finding too. Like finally getting that inner power back, and that I got this shit.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you on the other show, or this morning when I went to explain that I was about to record the show.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why are you explaining yourself to me? You don't have to do that." You know, it's because it was force of habit, because we had spent so many years making each other explain to the other why we did this, why we did that, this and that. And that's exhausting.
Same with me.
And it diminishes each person
Yeah.
and who they are. It takes their light away.
Right.
And therefore, if you cannot create anything of purpose with your light being stripped away from you, and both people holding on to each other and not wanting to let each other experience the world in the way they're meant to experience the world. Because if they don't have those moments where they meet those people or hear those things,
learn
or connect those dots that they're supposed to. They won't have those moments where they make mistakes, and then you can come together and say, "I understand you make mistakes. It's bound to happen."
Right.
You know?
And then teaching you how to deal with that person that you're in union with. Because it took me from leaving, it took me, like I said, again, Kellen, he taught me things about myself that I didn't do in my relationship. He taught me things that I didn't not acknowledge about my significant other, or that I didn't see because I was so consumed in how I felt or how I was feeling, and how I was being treated. Right. And once again, that was the union, or the commonality that you and I had, because it was like, it just goes to show that everything happens for a reason. Everything is purposeful and with intent. And if you're paying attention to the signs and the people that are placed in your life and not taking them for granted, so that they're not taken away from you. If you really cherish it,
be here either for a season, for a reason.
Right.
That's what I was telling Robert the other night. How do we connect so well as friends? How do we get along so well as friends, but we're shitty partners? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And he was like, because what he saw it as is because of all the years of hurting each other, all the resentment, all the times that we held each other, expectations high of each other and standards high of each other, and didn't hit those standards, and then was disappointed and things like that. So that helped out a lot. And I just lost my train of thought. You got up and I was like, "Where's she going?" And my thought went with me. Oh God, that's how easy it is for me to get distracted. Like a squirrel moves and I'm like, "Squirrel!" Oh God. But yeah, we were holding on to those things, and it was holding each other back from being happy.
Yeah.
And like we've walked around here bouncing around like we're happy for like teenage kids again since we released each other.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? You can't deny that.
Yeah.
When it's that obvious,
right?
It's like, okay, well, what's the point in going the path that's not purposed and being in a path that is resistant and struggling your entire life?
Absolutely.
When you have every indication and every sign that that's not what it's supposed to be.
Right. Meditation helped me come to that realization. It really did, because I felt like I was trapped. I felt like I was misunderstood. I felt so many different things, and I needed that peaceful place, or that union with myself to really just have that self-check real moment. Like, I looked back at my life and our relationship and where things were at in that moment, and it was the exact same as a year ago. And then I had to, you know, really dig deep, like, okay, well, why is it still happening? Why are you still here if it's still happening? Why do you think it's still happening? And that's when the developmental process started to come, as far as me changing myself, and at the same time understanding, like you said, the karmic relationship and the things that we were causing within our own relationship that we didn't even know that we were doing, based on things that we were holding on to, words that were being spoken, instead of letting go and giving each other that ability to fix self before we made our union. And for me, it happened in signs. My signs come in numbers, in butterflies, and birds, in people. Yes, so many different things. And when I knew I couldn't do another year, when I knew, you know, because we had been on and off since I was 16 years old, damn near half my life.
I was 17.
Yeah, and yeah, and so it's crazy when you think about the time being spent on repeating the same cycle instead of just letting go, and releasing.
People don't know how to let go because they are so in their comfort zone with what they created.
That was me. Oh, hell yeah, that was me.
It was like, you're scared of the unknown. You don't want to go to the unknown. Yeah. You've had this for so long. Just do what you got to do to get through it.
Right.
When that's not what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Those are all the signs that it's time. You've reached the limit of the relationship. The growth has stopped. You're not growing together. You're not progressing together. You're stuck in a stagnant state of the cycle, just like a tornado, spinning and spinning and spinning, spitting out the same shit.
Right.
And until you acknowledge that you're in that cycle and then peacefully release each other from it, you can't get past it. You'll take that cycle right with you to the next person.
Right.
Doing it in a place of emotion and anger or resentment, things like that, you're just taking that cycle with you. You hadn't broke it.
Right.
If you can't be at peace,
you're just prolonging the process.
If you cannot be at peace with what's going on in your relationship, then you haven't let go yet.
Right.
Once you let go, you're excited.
Right.
Like, my life is about to be amazing.
And then you instantly attract the things that affirms the direction that you're now taking. It's not, and it's not out of fear, like you said, you're excited. So because that feeling, those feelers feel so amazing and so euphoric and right, it helps you continue to propel in that direction no matter what, because you're gonna have hurdles, you're gonna have those same tests and different awakenings that you'll have to search within yourself, but it'll be an easier process. It'll be much more worth it. But that is our time for today, guys.
We definitely wanting us now.
Yeah, we definitely have to let you guys go. We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for the next one.
See you guys later.